It doesn't take a big difference to make a big difference. Hello, I'm the Bun. Welcome to the channel. This here is Baritone Obsessed. This is a show all about guitars that are a bunch longer for going a whole bunch lower. Today we're going to be comparing the PRS MUSHOK and the LTD Viper. There are a lot of comments that ask which guitar is better, guitar A or guitar B. And I don't necessarily think it has much to do with better so much as does it work for what you're doing, for what you want to do? I have that kind of question for myself today. I'm currently in the middle of recording. Usually I'll be using the same guitar left and right. Almost everything I've ever recorded is the same guitar left and right. And looking back over the years, that's been a little flat sounding. A little one-dimensional, if you will. Huge thanks to everybody with us over at Patreon and YouTube memberships. They are the people who produced this episode and many others. If you'd like to get involved in producing future episodes and future music, you can do so in the links down in the description. Probably my biggest motivator for sticking to the same guitars for left and right guitars is tuning differences. You know, if you use the exact same guitar, you're less likely to have tuning problems. In this case, we're gonna try guitars of two different scale lengths. That usually doesn't go great for me, but there's ways to work with it. Another thing about using the same guitar left and right is tonally, it's gonna match. You don't have to worry about the guitars working together at all. They're definitely gonna work together. That said, the exact same guitar on both sides is kind of where this flatness comes from, this one-dimensionality. So we wanna find out if we can use these guitars technically for the final recording and if they bring something positive to the Vens sound. If you don't know what Vens is, it's a sludgy, grindy, short, fast, blasting, artsy kind of thing. For both guitars, we're comparing the bridge pickups. We're going into the HX Stomp. The Vens Active preset from the Bunsonics Vens HELIX presets is the sound we're using. We're going unbalanced out of the HELIX into the 22 VSL Presonus interface. That's feeding directly into Reaper and there's no post-processing. Vens is a really nasty kind of thing. It's all diminished progressions, so it needs enough clarity to make sense of the diminished stuff. But it's all slow, like all the guitar parts are really slow. So it can afford to be kind of sludgy. I think it needs to be kind of sludgy for the vibe that it is. Clear and sludgy, it seems to be the Bun thing. The EMGs in the Viper are kind of sandy sounding, and the Invaders in the PRS are kind of spongy sounding. They're hot and spongy. Let's take a listen to some of these riffs in a full mix, back to back, and then soloed back to back, and just see what they sound like together. Tuning problems. Are there tuning problems with the mixed scale? The mixed scale lengths in question. The Viper, it's a 27-inch scale guitar, and the MUSHOK is a little bit longer at 27.75 inches in scale. And some folks are always like, oh, that doesn't sound like a big difference. It doesn't take a big difference to make a big difference. A half a turn on an intonation adjustment can make this massive difference in intonation. So the Viper seems to get a little shaky as you go up the fretboard. And if you play the Viper against the MUSHOK in a harmony or anything like that where there's high notes on the Viper, it's gonna sound out of tune. And so let's take a listen to what that sounds like. The intonation is set on both guitars. Everything appears to be in order, but yeah, I can still hear that it's out of tune, and the guitars are tuned. Feeling pretty good about using both guitars and that they complement one another in a good way for this music. There are definitely tuning issues between the guitars, but if we stick to playing all the high stuff on the longer scale MUSHOK, it shouldn't be a problem. Ultimately, the big takeaway is, does the gear work for the project, both technically and artistically? And the answer is, I think, yes. Thanks again to everybody with me over at Patreon and YouTube memberships. They are the people who produced this episode and many others. Huge thanks to them. They are the people. If you'd like to get involved in other ways, you can do it through music, merch, and creative assets. Would love to know what you use, how you use it, how you have it configured, all the good stuff. Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, that's it for this one. Hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next one.